Hey, you guys. Welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. And I am your host, Karen Bailey. Let me know when you guys are on. I would love to say hello to everybody. Hope everybody's having a wonderful week so far. It's almost the weekend again, you guys. And looks like we still have some summertime weather out there. You guys, last week our topic was build with it. You know, we can't always control what happens in life, but we can control what we do with it. Hey, Brandy, and how we react to it. So I just wanted to put some positive things out there just to encourage everybody. You know, don't let the burdens of life, don't let the stumbling blocks of life stop you from reaching your goals. Hey, Pam, stop you from reaching your goals. Don't allow a setback to completely stop you in your tracks. You know, sometimes a setback is an opportunity for you to rethink again. You know, I've had some setbacks in my life, and it's amazing, you know, when you decide that you're not giving up, how you can come up with ways of doing it better the next time. And you have to realize it's all about the marathon. It's not a race, you guys. We're not trying to outdo our sister over here. We're not trying to compare ourselves to anybody. This is a marathon, sweetheart. Everybody's got their own lane. And the sooner we get comfortable with our lane and understand that, you know, everybody's not meant to do the same thing. Everybody's not meant to have the same things. And then we just learn to just flow in what God has for us, then everybody will be a whole lot happier. You guys, this week I wanted to talk about basically just making up our minds about things. You know, a lot of times we're so worried about people liking us, so worried about doing what everybody else is doing, that we don't trust ourselves enough to make up our own minds about some things. So that's where this "that's it" period comes from. That means that you don't have to argue with people. That means you don't have to explain yourself to people when you make a decision. It's okay to make up your mind and stick with it. So I want everybody to understand that while it's easy to go along, to get along, that doesn't make you special. What makes you special is when you're willing to stand on your own and stand out, even if you have to stand by yourself. That takes courage. That takes tenacity. That takes something that only God can put into you, for you to be able to stand on something and say, you know what? If it's just me and God, I'm still standing on this because this is what I believe. And we can't continue to stumble through life, you guys, being unsure of ourselves. You know, I know me, you know, when I was much younger, I dealt with a lot of low self-esteem. And there comes a time when you have to make up your mind even about that, you guys. You know, you can either believe what people say about you, you can believe what people think about you, or you can make up your mind about who you are. And the best way to fight against those voices in your head that tell you you're not enough, that tell you you're not pretty enough, that tells you, you know, you're not smart enough, is to get in God's word and learn what God says about you. Learn how amazed God is with you and how he took the time to create you. He says you are fearfully and you're wonderfully made. You know, God doesn't say those things if he doesn't mean it. But you have to decide whose voice you're going to believe. And there comes a time where you have to make up your mind that low self-esteem is no longer a part of your life. Yes, it takes time to build your confidence up. Yes, it even takes time to learn to love yourself, especially when nobody taught you how to do that. And you know, so much is about fitting in with everybody else. Nobody really teaches you to be okay with you just the way that you are. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about today, is just making up your mind about yourself and stop allowing whatever happened to you in your past to dictate your future. Stop allowing, what you didn't get done, or where you're at right now versus where you wanted to be. Stop letting that get in your head and just enjoy your life where it is right now. Love yourself the way you are right now. So we need to make up our minds about some things and just put a period on it. And why we need to stand on our word. The things that come out of our mouth, you guys, they are so powerful. And we say things lightly. We don't think about what we say. We say whatever's on our mind. And women of God, men of God, we have got to be more conscious about what we're saying and how we're saying it. It's not okay for you to have your attitude and just say things off the fly. It's not okay. God is not pleased with that, because your words can discourage someone. Your words could cause someone to fall into a depression. And I know I don't want that weight on my back. So we have to be careful about what we say. Sometimes we break people's spirit, when we're talking to them, when we're angry. We say everything that we want to say and then some. You can't take that stuff back. So we need to be careful, and we need to be able to stand on our words, but we also need to make sure that we're choosing our words, not just allowing them to run wild. Choose your words. And let's talk about why standing on your word is important. Keeping your word is the very essence of integrity. A person that is honest, a person that keeps their word to me is invaluable, because I don't know too many people like that. Most people I know are wishy-washy. They go with what's popular. They don't mind telling you they're going to do something, and then they have no conscience about pulling out of it. Sometimes they don't even tell you they're going to pull out of it. But it's something about a person that keeps their word. It's just like to me, they seem like they're 10 feet tall, because I just admire that so much. And that's what I aspire to be, is someone that when I tell you I'm going to do something, or when I say I'm going to be there for you, I want to be that person that when you look up, you have a smile on your face, simply because I kept my word. So keeping your word is the very essence of integrity. And I had to learn that, you guys, growing up, raising my children, because it seems like I was a young mom, so it seems like I was growing up when I was raising my children. So I was learning from them. Sometimes, my youngest child, he always made me accountable to my word. If I told him I was going to do something, I better not try to back out on it later. He going to remind me 100 times, Mama, you said you was going to do this. Mama, you said you was going to do this. Mama, I asked you and you said yes, Mom. So he was actually helping me build my character, because he wasn't tolerating my excuses. And I really appreciate that now. And that's what we need to do even with the people that we deal with, you guys. Sometimes we're so kind-hearted that people don't mind lying to our faces. And that happens to me a lot. People that say they're my friends, I can tell when they're lying, and I don't press them to make them lie any more than they're already lying. But it's just something about somebody that's kind-hearted. People don't always appreciate that. And sometimes people tend to put you last. So be careful about that, and just make sure, that you're being honest with people, and hold people accountable. If they're lying to you, or if they're not following through with you, let them know, well, I really needed you to do this. Next time I won't ask you to do it. I'll ask somebody else to do it. Let people know it matters that they keep their word. And honesty is making your words conform to reality. That's basically saying you're going to do something and then making it a reality. That's honesty. That's integrity. And integrity is making reality conform to your words. It's essential, especially as a leader. People have to be able to follow your example. You lead by example, not by the words that come out of your mouth, because what you're saying, people are hanging on your every word. Even with raising our children, they're listening and watching everything we do. So they're learning how to be adults from watching us. And some of that is why some of them have some of the issues they have now, is because they watched us while we were immature. They watched us before we evolved. They watched us before God was finished with us. And so some of those bad habits, some of those attitudes that we see in our adult children or even our teenagers, they got it from us. They were watching us because we were not leading the way we should. We were not setting the proper example. So without integrity, you cannot be an effective leader. And then keeping your word is more about you just saying you're going to do something. It's about showing somebody that you have their back. And in this world that we live in, where people will smile in your face and talk about your back, it is so important to know who really has your back, because you never know when you're going to need them. You need the kind of people that you can trust, that if somebody's talking about you and you're not around, that they stand up and they defend you. That means they have your back, or say, you know what, that's my friend. You know, y'all shouldn't be talking about her like that. Y'all don't really know the situation, so I would appreciate, you know, if y'all wouldn't say those things about my friend. That's somebody that's got your back, and she's not going to go back and say, girl, I had to shut them down. You know, they was talking about you. That's not being a friend. That's not having my back, because now you got my emotions all stirred up. Either you have my back, handle the situation. You don't have to run back and tell me what you did. Be consistent. You make sure you do that every time, because that's the kind of friend I'm going to be to you, and that's what I want you to be for me. But that's what standing on your word does. It lets people know that, you know, you have their back. And if you say you'll get it done, by all means, you guys, get it done. And if you can't, make sure that you let them know in plenty of time. You know, people respect that. People understand that. You know, everybody knows things come up, situations come up, but you have to be a person of integrity to say, you know what, I thought I was going to be able to do this next week. Sorry. Hey, Angela, next week, but you know, looks like, you know, it's not looking like I'm going to be able to do it. Do you mind, you know, getting somebody else to assist you with that? People respect that. It's when you leave people hanging, or when you promise somebody something and then you wait till the very last minute and not come through the way that you say that you will. So keeping your word and doing what you say you're going to do, it helps build credibility, because your reputation is at stake. If you become that person that does all that talking and wanting to be involved and wanting to be over stuff and wanting to run stuff, and then you fall through in the cracks, you're going to build a reputation for that. And nobody's going to want to deal with you. So your credibility is at stake. Number 2, your trust is at stake. You know, that's how you learn to trust somebody, is by dealing with them a situation at a time. You know, I always get leery of people that say, girl, you can trust me. If I haven't tried you, boo, I can't trust you. Cause everybody wants to be trusted, but everybody's not able to be trusted. Some people don't have the capacity to be trustworthy. So if it hasn't been tried, little by little, that's how trust is built. So when you keep your word, you are slowly building trust with that person, with that company, with that group, with whoever. Number 3, self-accountability. When you follow through and do what you say you're going to do, it helps you to be a better person overall, because consistency in keeping your word contributes to your overall well-being and success. You know, when you do right by somebody, that word of mouth is going to get out there, and you never know what doors they're going to open for you. You know, if they know that, hey, you know, this girl, she's on point, you know, she's good at what she does, you know, she's communicates well, you know, you can reach her when you need to reach her. Girl, you need to use her for blah, blah, blah. Or girl, I recommend so-and-so for this, that, and the other. You know, self-accountability is so important, because you need to feel proud of yourself. You need to know, hey, I did that. I accomplished that. I did what I said I was going to do, because it makes you feel better. And it ensures that you follow through on promises both to yourself and to other people. And that just gives you such an amazing sense of well-being when you hear people bragging about you and hear people saying, how much you bless them or how grateful they are to you. In nursing, a lot of times, it's a thankless job because everybody wants a piece of you all the time. But it's so refreshing, you guys, when somebody will call you just to say, hey, I just wanted to see how your day is going. I want you to know that me and my husband, the only reason we come to this doctor is because of you and we just love you. I'll get those calls sometimes and it just brings me to tears, and I'm trying not to tear up now, but, because what you do matters. And that self-accountability, it helps you build a standard. And you have to have a standard about yourself. You have to carry yourself a certain way if you want to command respect. And there's a number of ways, that we measure a person's worth, or even our own worth. Number one is measured by if they can keep their word or not. My place in somebody's life is going to be determined by can they count on me? Can they trust me? Do I have a good reputation? And the same way, that's my worth in their life, that's your worth and mine, because I'm not going to give you a high place in my life or let you get that close to me if I can't trust you, if you're always making excuses, you never follow through, you got a bad reputation. So it's so important that we be a person of our word, because that determines your worth to yourself and to other people. And it's healthy to surround yourself with people you can trust and keep your word, because you don't have to worry as much as you do when you know that this person's going to say they're going to do this person's going to say they have your back, and then in the back of your mind, you're still scared. You're still worrying because they've never come through for you before. So it's a difference when you've got people that have been tried and true and show you that I'm here for you, I got your back. And a person that keeps their words, they show that they have discipline. Because it's not always easy to follow through on a commitment. Things happen in between you saying, I'm going to do this, and you actually doing it. So it takes discipline, and sometimes it even takes sacrifice, you guys, self-sacrifice. Because it never fails when you tell somebody you're going to do something for them, somebody else or something else gets in the way, and you have to say no to that just so you can be a woman of your word. And it's not always going to be easy, and it's not always going to be convenient. And then there's a saying that says, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And that's a true statement. You have to be able to stand your ground on some things, or people will walk all over you. They will deal with you any kind of way. They'll talk to you any kind of way. You teach people how to treat you. And it took me a long time to realize that, because I was too busy trying to be nice to everybody and keep everybody else happy for the majority of my life. And then I realized I was teaching them to treat me like less than. I was teaching them it's okay for them to talk crazy to me and then come back with a half apology. And because I was so kind-hearted, I would accept it, even when they really didn't mean they wouldn't do it again, because it always came back up again. But see, I wasn't standing up for myself. And when you don't stand up for yourself, people will use you for a doormat. And that doesn't mean that you have to be mean. That doesn't mean that you have to be ugly. That just means you have to have a standard. And that's why we're rolling into this next one. This is why it's so important that we have standards and we have limitations. Because people really will take your kindness for weakness, and they will try to get as much as they can get from you until you get upset and say that's enough. So rather than letting them just pull and take and just wear you out, you need to have a standard about how you're going to deal with them and how they're going to deal with you. And you need to have limitations and let them know what you will tolerate and what you won't. That's standing up for yourself. That's respecting yourself. That's saying, hey, you're not going to treat me any kind of way. I deserve to be treated very well. And you have to show people that, because people will get comfortable with you, especially in relationships, and they'll start out in the beginning just giving you everything and treating you like a queen and you're my bestie and all of that. And then they get real comfortable, and then them B words start coming out, and all of a sudden, you showing me much disrespect, but you let your guard down and you let your standards down, and you didn't set any limitations. So you have to understand that people will do what you allow them to do as many times as you allow them to do it. That's why I had to learn, even in my own relationship, if somebody is bold enough to physically assault you one time, don't give them another opportunity, because it gets easier after that first time. That first time is the hardest time. So just understand, you have to stand up for yourself. And sometimes that standing up means walking away. That standing up means I'm done, period. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. That's it. That's enough. I'm through. And you have to love yourself enough to do that. And that was very hard for me to do, but I was raising my sons and I had to do it, because I did not want my sons to think that that was the norm. I had to show them that even if I got to do it by myself, I'm not going to let somebody physically abuse me. And I in turn, as they grew up and started having girlfriends, this, that, and the other, I remind them of that day. And I said, you remember that? Whatever you don't want happening to your mom, then you don't do to somebody else. And I thank God every day that they have that in their mind. And I drilled that in their head and wanted them to understand that that was not right under any circumstance. And this is why we need to make up our mind, make a decision, and stick to it. Even when it's not easy, sometimes we have to ride it out, you guys, especially when it's a major decision. Sometimes we have in our head how it's supposed to turn out. If I say I'm going to do this and it's going to be like this in our minds. But a lot of times what we're thinking is not truly reality. That's the way we want it to happen, but that doesn't mean it'll be so. But that's why it's so important to pray. Before you make a decision, pray about it, get clarity about it, and then ask God to give you the direction. Do I need to do this, or don't I need to do this? And if God gives you the peace to do it, just understand it's not always going to be smooth sailing, in the beginning. You have to ride it out. You have to have patience with the process sometimes. So you guys, let's talk about how we need to evolve, as a person. Because in order to evolve, which we all should be doing as we're getting older, as we're getting more education, as we're getting more understanding, more wisdom, we ought to be evolving. We shouldn't be the same people that we were 5 years ago or 10 years ago. We ought to be getting better as we get older. That's my goal. I want to be better every year as I get older. And in order to evolve, you have to build up your confidence. And the only way you're going to build up your confidence is to make decisions and trust yourself. And trust yourself and stick with it, because you won't always be wrong. Hey, Kathy, sometimes you will get it right. And when you get it right and you follow through and you look behind you and you're on the other side, it will build up your confidence. Start speaking wonderful things over yourself. No matter how you feel about yourself, none of us, have the shape that we want, this, that, and the other. But I dare you to start speaking lovely words over yourself and remind yourself that you're beautiful every morning, and remind yourself how smart you are, how strong you are, and how you get things done. How you can make a little and turn it into a lot. We need to start appreciating ourselves, because most of us, we just don't give ourselves enough credit because we're always comparing ourselves to somebody else. We're always listening to what everybody else thinks about us. And sometimes we forget just how far we've come. We forget just how many storms we've come through and how we persevered and how we're still standing. So build your confidence by reminding yourself who you are and who God says you are. And trust yourself with decisions. I mean, start out with small ones till you build up your confidence. But don't be afraid to make a decision. And next, learn to trust yourself and the decisions you make. Like I say, you won't always get it right, but always bet on you. Even if you don't get it right, make lemon out of lemonades is what we said. Lemonade out of lemons is what we said last week. You know, something good comes out of everything, even if we don't get it right. There's always one little good thing off in there if you look, and take that little thing that you find that's right or that's good in the situation and do something with it. You know, never give up on yourself. Never get hard on yourself and talk down to yourself. Just never give up, because you've made it this far. So obviously you've got some tenacity. You've got something in you, the reason why you are where you are today. So just always bet on yourself and never give up on yourself. In order to evolve, you have to be kind. You know, you have to be kind when you don't want to be kind. And I'm learning to bridle this tongue so much, you know, as I'm getting older, because everything that's in here does not need to come out of here. And the best thing you can do is be kind to somebody, even when they're not being kind to you, even when the Lord is telling you, you know, they're trying to play you, or even when the Lord is saying, you know, they're jealous of you, or they're just trying to mess with you and mess up your day. Be kind to them, because kindness really does throw the enemy off. Kindness keeps you at your position. You don't lose your position. Stop allowing people to put you on an emotional roller coaster. Sometimes you just have to say, okay, all right, okay, and just walk away. Preserve your peace at all costs. You know, everything is not worth getting upset over. Everything is not worth getting your blood pressure all worked up over, getting a headache over. But sometimes people know how to push your buttons, and learn to be kind to them, because God's going to deal with them. I promise you, he's going to deal with them. And the more I remind myself, you know, that God is fighting for me and that he sees everything they're finna do before they even do it. Hey, Christia, you know, it helps me to be kind, even to somebody that I know is trying to, you know, mess with me and mess with my day. You know, because people don't like you smiling. People don't like to see you happy when they're miserable. So miserable people always want to find a way to throw that negativity in the room. And I had something happen like that the other day. You know, I was hanging out with some friends, having a good time, you know, and it's just like, here comes that other person. And they just, I mean, we were happy, having a great time, and they interjected something negative right into the conversation. And I'm learning to not give that energy. You know, I may acknowledge that I heard it. I said, oh, okay, I hate that. And then I went right back to the conversation we were having. See, that's how you have to stop the enemy. Don't give him all your energy when he's trying to throw negativity into your life. Hear it, acknowledge it, process it for what it is, and then move on and keep being yourself, and don't allow your joy and your level of joy to be affected by other people. Next, we have to break those bad habits, you guys. If we're going to evolve, we know what things that we need to stop doing. We know what things have set us back in the past. We know what things, you know, keep us from going to that level that we say we want to go to. If we've got those bad habits, whether it's just being lazy or just, you know, passing the buck, or just not, you know, being motivated, we've got to break those bad habits, because if you're going to evolve, it's going to take some work, you guys. It's going to take some muscle. It's going to take some thought, and you're going to have to put some action behind that thought. So we got to break those bad habits. And I tell our single ladies, you know, A lot of times, when you're single and you're trying to date or you're lonely or this, that, and the other, I said them dating apps, I think they're there to just distract you. They really are there to distract you, because going on there, you'll have so many people trying to talk to you at one time. I said they will bombard you, at one time, and have you talking to this person, that person, that person, that. And then before you know it, every day when you get off the work, all you're doing is talking to all these random people, and it's not really going anywhere. It's not anything that's going to make your life better. You're just wasting energy with all these different people trying to figure out if they are who they say they are, if they're lying about this, if they got a girlfriend, if they got this. Those are time wasting activities. Being on social media, rolling down social media, doing all that stuff all the time. There's nothing wrong with getting on it, getting on TikTok, watching a few videos, but you have to have limitations and you have to set boundaries. Don't let that consume your life, because it's not benefiting you in any way. And you need to do more things that's going to make your life better. Do more things that's going to help you grow as a person, you guys. And that's something that I'm really trying to work on for myself. I'm trying to get interested in things that's going to benefit me when I get ready to retire, when I get ready to, go on a vacation. I'm trying to learn about stuff before I do it, so that I'll get the most out of it, so that I can make the best decisions I can possibly make. And then the next thing, if we want to evolve, is we have to learn to admit when we're wrong. And we have to be aware of our own shortcomings. It's nothing like a person that says, you know what, that right there, that triggers me, but, I'm not going to be able to be around that. Y'all go ahead and go. You know your shortcoming, or that a certain person, pushes your button. Why would you put yourself in that environment for them to steal your joy and take your peace? Know your limitations and admit when you're wrong. If you're doing something that makes somebody else uncomfortable, that's why you don't want to be around them, then you need to apologize. You need to go to them and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for whatever I did, because now when you see me, I can feel the tension in the room. We've got to be big enough to squash some stuff, some old stuff, you guys, because there's a lot of grown folks can't even be around each other because of stuff that happened years ago. And if we're going to evolve, we have to be big enough, we have to be woman enough to say, you know what, I want to talk to you for a minute. What I did was wrong. I don't have no excuse for it. I was selfish, I was being petty, I was jealous, whatever. There's nothing better than freeing yourself of that, because there's nobody that I want to have to turn around and leave the room when I see them. I'm trying now to where anywhere I go, if I want to be there, I'm going to be there. I'm not going to let anybody make me uncomfortable. I'm not going to make anybody say, oh, girl, here comes so-and-so. I'm going to go the other way. I'm not going to live my life like that, because I'm not evolving if I still have to do that. You need to fix the situation, settle whatever it is, and that's it. Put a period on it and just say, you know what? I don't have no bad feelings towards you. I just wanted to make it right between me and you. That's grown folk stuff, you guys, and we got to do better about being at peace with people if at all possible. And then always work on yourself. There is always going to be a project that you have to do when it comes to working on yourself. You will never get that right as long as you live. All we can do is just work on it a little bit at a time and work on being better and better. So always do a little bit to make yourself better every day. And then change your friend group, you guys. If your friend group is keeping you where you are, keeping you from evolving, they're still doing the same petty stuff, they're still talking about people, they're still, doing little messy stuff, they're still, just being immature, let me put it to you like that, and not trying to do anything with themselves, then you need to change your friend group and get with some people that's actually trying to go to the next level. Because you're wasting energy. You're wasting energy. It's like spinning your wheels, basically. If you're with people that refuse to grow up, refuse to be better, and you keep hanging with that, you're just going to be spinning your wheels. And then if you want to evolve, you need to learn a new skill. Learn something new. Learn something that you never thought you would be able to do. You'll be so proud of yourself when you do that. I do a lot of home improvement projects. Nobody taught me that stuff. I made up my mind one day that I was going to try it, and I tried something, and I was able to do it. And boy, that built up my little confidence. I went and bought a tool belt. I went and got my tool belt, and people were laughing at me. I was taking pictures with my little tool belt on. But I knew then if I really put my mind to it, and I really was wanting to do it and wasn't willing to give up when it was hard, that I could do whatever I wanted to do. And now I do things I've never been able to do. And I'm grateful for that because I'm proud of myself, and I hope I encourage other people to get out there and just try it. The worst thing that can happen is you can fail. And if you fail, that's okay. That means you got to hire somebody else to do it. But at least try it yourself. And then we need to let go of defensiveness. When people come to you and say, I have a problem with you, and they're willing to talk it out, you need to be quiet and let that person tell you what it is that they have against you, what it is they feel like you've done to them. That's when you have to learn to bridle your tongue, because you can learn a lot about yourself if you would close your mouth. If you would close your mouth, you'll learn a lot about yourself. If you're willing to take that criticism and be a better person for it, stop being defensive, because we don't always have a good day every day, y'all. Sometimes we rub people wrong. We have an attitude. We say something we shouldn't say, or we do something that somebody else wasn't expecting us to do. We need to own that. Instead of making excuses and fighting back with that person, let that person tell you how they feel. Let that person tell you what you did and learn from it. And maybe you won't do that same thing again. So let go of defensiveness so that you can learn and so you can grow. And you guys, the flip side of that is be careful about compromising too much. It's okay, to let other people have their way sometimes. It's okay, to give in sometimes, but don't make it a habit. And don't do it all the time, because when you compromise and when you're too nice and let everybody else have their way, people will begin to expect that from you, and they'll treat you like that, and they'll treat you like less than, and then they'll get an attitude when you stand up for yourself. So it's okay to compromise, but just make sure you compromise for the right reason, and make sure you don't compromise too much, because you don't want to set that standard that, oh, well, let me go over here and do this to Karen. She'll let me do this. Oh, let me go over here and get her to do it. She'll do it. Don't compromise too much, you guys, because people will expect that of you. And then practice acceptance. Understand that you're at the stage and the age where you are. You need to practice acceptance. Quit crying over what you didn't do when you were younger. Quit crying about, oh, I thought I'd be married by now. I thought I'd be doing this by now. I thought I'd be doing that by now. Stop that and practice acceptance. If it didn't happen, it wasn't meant to happen. If it didn't happen, there was a reason that God didn't allow it to happen in your life. Just practice acceptance and practice being grateful. That's one of the best ways to become a better person. When you have a grateful spirit, that means, I'm content. Not that I don't want more, but even if I don't get more, I'm good. If God doesn't do what I'm wanting him to do, I'm still okay. He's done more than enough. That's that attitude that you have when you learn to practice gratefulness and practice acceptance. And you just look better when you have a grateful spirit. You just look better, and you light up a room. You can tell when somebody's grateful. You can tell when somebody loves God and somebody is just so thankful for everything that they have, because it just pours out of you. And then to evolve, we have to set goals. We have to be willing to change in order to become a better person. And change is the only way you'll ever grow and progress into the person that you want to become. And lastly, let discipline and self-sacrifice help to shape and mold you into a better and a more organized person. Because sometimes it takes you falling flat on your face and not wanting to ever be back in that position again for you to get your life together. Because I've been there where I got myself in a state where I said, Lord, and we hear people say this all the time, Lord, if you get me out of this, I won't do it no more. Well, there have been times in my life when I actually didn't mean that. And I stood on that, and I still stand on that. There are certain things I won't do anymore because God brought me out of it, and it was a horrible place, and I don't ever want to go back there again. So I'm going to be a woman of my word. I'm going to keep my word to myself, and I'm going to keep my word to God, because He brought me too far for me not to. And so when we talk about that's it, period, we're talking about learning to set boundaries in order to have a better life and have better relationships. Because setting boundaries is crucial. It's a crucial life skill. And we're not taught that. Sometimes you have to learn over time by making mistakes, by allowing people to do this and that to you in your life and getting fed up with it. And then you learn, okay, well, I'm not going to let that happen again. I'm not going to let anybody treat me like that again. So sometimes it's trial and error. Nobody's teaching you, this life skill of setting boundaries. So you learn it as you go. And it helps you have a better life because it protects your energy, it protects your time, and it protects your values. And the way we set boundaries is we have to understand, first of all, what are your priorities? What's important to you? So before you can set any boundaries or say what you're not going to tolerate and what you're not going to let this person do, that person do, figure out what's important to you. And write down what's important to you, and then ask yourself, what am I willing to do to protect this? What am I willing not to tolerate? Or what am I willing to walk away from to protect this? That's your priority. Number 2, communicate with clarity. Make your needs known. Make your standards known. There's nothing like getting into a relationship with the opposite sex and it's all fun in the beginning, but you never sat down and communicated what you expected from the relationship. And then when all the fun is gone, then you're sad, and then you're thinking that person doesn't love you. Well, that person can't read your mind. You've been letting them do whatever they want to do. You set those standards in the beginning so that you don't have to be backtracking later on and having an attitude because somebody's doing something and they don't even know that they're doing something wrong. You need to communicate with clarity and let your yes be yes and your no be no. Even if it means you lose a friend, even if it means that man walks away or that woman walks away, be clear about what you want. Be clear about what you'll tolerate. Be clear about how you expect to be treated. You deserve that. You got to love yourself enough to do that. Even if people walk away, let them walk. Number 3, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you're going to have to learn to set boundaries, like I say, sometimes you're going to lose some people. Everybody's not going to like you standing up for yourself, especially if you're like me. I used to let everybody walk over me. So when I do stand up for myself, a lot of times people don't like it. But that's okay. You don't have to like it. Those are my boundaries. This is what I said I needed in my life to preserve my peace. This is what I need to keep you from stealing my joy. So be comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's okay. It's okay. Number 4, Take space. When you need to get away from everybody, get away from that phone, get away from all those text messages, get away from all that drama, that people can bring in your life, take space. Take your time, get away, stop answering your phone. They'll be all right. They can call somebody else. Take space so that you can keep you together, so that you don't end up on an emotional head spin, and have your life all out of control with anxiety or with depression. Take the space you need so that you'll still be good, because you got to take care of you first. I don't care what else is going on or who else feels like they need you. If you're not taking care of you, how can you help anybody else? Take space and time for yourself, and do not, hear me when I say this, do not explain it to anybody, and do not apologize for loving yourself. Do not apologize for needing time away from things, people, and places. Number 5, understand that boundaries can be flexible. In the beginning of something, sometimes you have to set stricter boundaries until you learn who you can trust, or how things are going to go. And then you can start, loosening up those boundaries a little bit. So just understand that just because you've got it in a tight circle right now of what you're looking at and what you want and how you want to be treated and, how you're dealing with me, those things over time, as the relationships grow, as the trust grows, this, that, and the other, then those things can be a little bit more relaxed or a little bit more flexible. I need to drink some water. And number 6, be prepared. There's nothing worse than a person that breaks their own rules. Or there's nothing worse than a person that is one way this minute and this way another. Be prepared. Get your mind right about things. A lot of times people are just taking it a day at a time. Well, that's not a recipe for success. You have to put some things in play so that you'll have something that you're striving for, that you're reaching for. Be prepared. Don't just allow things to happen as they happen. If you're going to set boundaries to have a better life, you have to get some control over some of the things in your life. You can't just let any and everything in and out of your life. Number 7, you have to create consequences when people don't respect your boundaries. Don't be afraid to let people know that you don't appreciate what they did. Don't be afraid to let them know that, I need some space from you because, what you did, I need a minute. I need a minute to regroup from that. I just really don't want to spend a lot of time with you right now. Let them know that there are consequences to their actions. Because if you don't, what's to stop them from doing it again? What's to stop them from saying, oh, girl, she'll get over it. She'll be all right. And people will do you like that. If you're too nice about something, or they do something that they know they shouldn't have, or that they hurt you, this, that, and the other, they'll be like, girl, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. And then you let them off the hook. A lot of times you're going to revisit that again, multiple times, if you don't change the way that you deal with bad behavior. And the last thing is respect other people's boundaries to get respect from them. You get respect by giving respect. And you guys, my final thought is, when we learn how to stand on our word and stand behind our decisions, we gain respect. We gain self-worth, and we gain confidence that we all need. Don't wait for everybody to agree with you. Stand up and say that's it, period, and move on. You don't owe an explanation, you don't owe a reasoning, and you don't owe a justification when you make up your mind. And we all have to spend time spreading our wings to be able to fly. We won't always get it right, but we must keep going so that eventually we'll learn how to soar. You guys, thank you so much for watching. Sorry I was a few minutes late. It's been a busy day. But I just want to pray real quick. Heavenly Father, I want to say thank you for this day. Thank you for your many blessings, God. And God, we just want you to know that we appreciate everything that you do for us. And God, we ask that you forgive us that we don't acknowledge you as much as we should. And God, just know that we understand that it's your grace and it's your mercy that gets us through each day. God, help us to be more people of our word. Help us to be people of integrity. Help us to stand on our words and give us the confidence. Everybody's not confident enough to make those decisions. Help us to understand that it's not always about getting it right. Sometimes it's just about taking a step and taking a leap of faith, Father God. God, I hope that you will just continue to watch over everybody in this group, Father God. God, help us to make the best decisions we could possibly make, and then help us to be strong enough to stand on them and go through the process. God, I ask that you bless everyone in this group that has health problems, Father God. God, we don't have to call it out. You know what everybody stands in need of. Those with financial problems, those with family problems, Lord, you know what we all need. And I ask, God, that you will just meet us at the point of our need. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You guys, thank y'all for watching. Love you guys. Have a great rest of the week and have a wonderful weekend. See you next week. Bye.